Hello and welcome to Here for SR, a show about iRacing, memes, and more memes. That
Yeah,
sounds
it's
right.
it's pretty much memes.
That sounds pretty close. A show about memes, iRacing memes, and the memes that make memes. Is that right? Did I
Yeah,
get it right?
also the meme that is iRacing.
Hey Jeff. Good evening.
Hello, how are you, Tom?
Very well. I was speaking to our chat, Manny.
Oh,
But hello, Manny. Good evening. I'm
oh
glad you're
God,
I'm glad you're back in.
look at
Uh,
us, active people in chat.
that's right.
45 seconds into broadcast,
New
we're
record.
professionals.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're back. Although Pancake was wonderful.
Pancake is always wonderful. I mean, if when the poll for driver of the year goes up, I'm not sure you're gonna make the short list thanks to Pancake.
Maybe just Man of the Year. Whatever. Guy of the Year. Active. Uh, let's.
Shit poster of the year might still be you though. I mean, you're in with a shout, I think.
Thank you. Well, that's all I could really hope for. It's all I want. It's all I can make.
In in honor of our beautiful background image today, I did consider wearing my Dale shirt. But you had the wrong numbered one, so I put it away.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. I'm very excited to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it later. I actually made the I'm I made a model kit of the C5R once, and it was but I made the winner, the Daytona 24 winner, as
Yes.
as opposed to the 3 car. I know it's kind of like, but I made the winning
I
car.
mean, I mean, Daytona 24 winners cool, but is it the 3 car?
No, but it is cool. Admit it.
I mean, it's cool-ish.
It's pretty cool. Hey, we're gonna go to Maynard early. How does that sound? Maynard right
Big
away.
day.
You ready?
Big day for
Should I
Maynard.
bring it
In the
on?
spotlight early.
Let me bring him on. Let's get the background up. Get the background up.
Time to pull that boy out of his double wide.
Maynard?
Hell yeah.
You watching Darlington, Maynard?
Hey Tom, hey Manny, how's it going?
Hey, good
Hey,
brother. How are
buddy.
you?
Not too bad. Got the Donaldson on in the background. Just taking that mid race break. You got to do stand up, stretch a little bit.
Mm. And I think that's probably why they made the stages, isn't it, Maynard?
Hey, don't even get me started in the stages, brother.
Oh, what's wrong with the stages? They give you that natural walking break.
We ain't even going to talk about that. I think me and Tom done talked about that last week, didn't we? I don't know, but Darlington, yeah. Hey, let me tell you something. My man
I love it.
Dale,
Love to hear it.
he won Darlington 9 times. All right, and I got this Dale quote. I done put on my wall because I race at Darlington this week, so I got to get inspired. Dale said, "You never forget your first love, whether it's a high school sweetheart, a faithful old hunting dog, or a fickle racetrack in South Carolina with a contrary disposition. If you happen to be a race car driver, there's no victory so sweet, so memorable as whipping Darlington Raceway."
I mean, the
Wow.
man was a philosopher. What more can be
I'll
said?
be honest. That's pretty good. I'll be honest.
I
That's
looked
really
at that
good.
every race I joined in this week, whether it was I tried the NIS out this week
Mm-hmm.
or my league race this morning. Every day I looked at that and I said, I got to channel this from Dale.
How So you ran an IS Open?
Yes, sir. I ran all four of them. I figure.
How'd it go? Any good results? Top 10,
Well,
Maynard? I know you're pretty good at Darlington.
well, Tom. I hate to tell you this, but racing quality nowadays ain't too good, and you can blame the package. You can blame the configuration they got right now at Darlington,
The
but
package is pretty terrible, to be fair.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was the driving standards. I don't know how they're letting these people on this thing, but it was just something else. And so, unfortunately, I really couldn't get past like lap 50 or something
Mm-hmm.
until I got wrecked out. So
Right. And they were not. I mean, you didn't get in the wall yourself.
It wasn't my fault. If
Right.
that's what we're asking, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm asking.
It sounds to me like you saved something like 317 laps of disappointment. So it might have been for the best.
Yeah, you know what? And I tell you what, I think the racing would be much better if they got the original, the good version of Darlington, right? I don't know if you know this, but they done reconfigured it a couple years back.
I didn't.
They moved the start finish line to the other side of the track, right? So how you got it now, you going into that big turn. I'm gonna call that turn 3 and 4 as it is. Then you go into the little turn. That's turn 1 and 2. Now they got them numbers all flipped around now, and it's a whole different racetrack now that they moved that start finish line.
That is confusing.
Yeah, so whenever like they go on the TV and they're like, "Oh, they're going into turn 1," I'm like, "That's not turn 1. That's never been turn 1. I don't know what you're talking about. Turn 1's always going into to Earnhardt Tower right there."
Here's a question. So when you run an NAS there, how many times did you get the start wrong? You know, because you think you're coming out
Yeah.
4. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And you know what else? I done gone in the wrong pits. I can't tell you how many times.
Oh no.
Well, hold on. Let me clarify. They're the right pits, but there just ain't nobody in there on the iRacing. They're all on the back stretch pits. I've been pitting on the front stretch, coming off turn 3. You know, right there off that big turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's just they done put my equipment and gear on the back stretch. I was like, I ain't pitting on the back stretch. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go down the front stretch pits, whether or not they be empty or not, and then I'm gonna just go around the back stretch pits.
And you know, you can call the crew chief, tell him to bring the boys, and meet you on the backstretch. You won't have to compete for pit stalls. It's gonna be great.
You mean the front stretch, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm not sure what we mean at this point, honestly. The stretch.
Yeah, one of them. But you know, anyway, the whole thing is built like that because of the minnow pond. Else probably just be another boring 1.5 mile intermediate. So thank God for that minnow pond. But
That's what
I don't know. I'd say it's my second favorite track outside Darlington. Excuse me, Daytona and Talladega.
Sure. Is it the oldest actually? Is Bristol older? I don't know.
I can't tell you, but I do believe it was the first super speedway.
Yeah, I mean it's like a
Which one, Daytona?
No, Darlington.
Darlington.
Yes, sir.
Huh. I
They
didn't
just-
know that.
I mean
Today
they
I learned.
just called it whatever they want, right? Because it's what mile and is it 3/8 or is it a mile and a half?
I think it's-
1.3 miles, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it's 3/8.
Yeah. That's they can call it whatever they want. They want to call it super speedway. Go for it. It's old. Get grandfathered in, that kind of thing, right?
Well, they're going flat out nowadays anyway, so might as well be Daytona.
So you got you crashed out before lap 50, but you still probably got like a top 10 or something.
I got wrecked.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of them I did get a top 10. I don't know how it worked. Done wrecked out lap 65. Sure enough, got like the top 10 out of it. So hey, I'll take it.
So less than 10 cars, just to make sure I understand. So less than 10 cars made it the following 300 laps?
Hey, it's a hard track. I ain't not gonna lie.
Jesus Christ.
Manny, it's a hard
I
track.
can't blame them.
You're being a little judgy, I think.
Yeah, we're just trying our best out here.
It's true. No, I get it. I get it.
Not everyone's a pro like Manny.
Well, I don't know about all that. I don't think I've actually ever driven. I think the last time I drove Darlington was 2005 on NASCAR Thunder.
Wow.
That was good. Good
That was
times.
probably a
Good times.
Game. Probably a good game.
Absolutely. It was fun.
Well, I'll tell you something else about this race they got on right now. Stage 2, they done. They do this throwback thing for the NASCAR race. Stage 2, they got throwback announcers. Now, like I said, we ain't gonna talk about the stage.
Oh, they have different announcers for just that one stage.
They done throw back the announcers, and they got 3 NASCAR champions on there. All right, they had Dale Jarrett.
Why didn't they get old announcers?
Hold
was
on,
that? Okay.
hold on, Tom.
My
I'm
fault.
explaining this thing. They are done being announcers. All right. Look, they got Dale Jarrett, they got Kyle Petty, and they got Junior up in there. 3 Cup champions.
I don't think Junior's a
Throw
cup
back.
champion.
I don't think Kyle won either.
Well, you know what? They champions in my own heart. All right. So leave them be.
Okay.
I do know that Junior is at least a Daytona champion, and I mean, what else
Look,
is there?
He's a Hall of Famer
Look,
now too.
Absolutely.
Back in 2004. All right, Junior done said one bad word. Now we all done said that word a million times. I guarantee you. And NASCAR said we can't be saying that word on TV. Well, that's what they claim is why they took them points away. Or else Junior done won that championship. So you know what? I'm gonna give Junior back them points, and Junior's my champion for 2004.
He deserves it. I agree. Who ended up in 04? Was it Kenseth?
I think so, and he ain't done won a single race that year, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That sounds
here.
right.
Okay, you're both picking Kenseth? You're both wrong. Kurt Busch.
Oh man, I must be
Kurt?
thinking about 2003.
Kurt Busch.
Kurt.
Yep.
Jesus.
Kenseth was
Wow.
2003.
A
Yeah.
trip down memory lane. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I get those years mixed up.
Back to a world where Kurt Busch won races.
Yeah. He's in the playoffs.
Simpler times.
He's in the
He's still
playoffs.
racing? Yeah, he's still racing. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that.
Man, he's being.
He's one of them last racers who raced with Dale. One of them originals.
Yeah, that would be pretty old now. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Wow. You got anything else, Maynard? Any big dirt news down there? I don't know.
We can talk about Daytona.
No, just dirt. Just dirt racing in general. Yeah, I mean, you're more up on it than I am.
Oh, we don't. We're taking break in dirt racing.
Sure. That's fine.
Yeah, it's been a little rainy.
How do you feel about weed sport coming to iRacing?
Jeff says Kurt told Kyle to hold his bowels. In the chat. Excellent memeage.
I love it.
Hold his balls like what you get out the kitchen. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, because they're brothers.
It's a type
you know what I
of
mean?
kitchen.
You know, because they're brothers and they had to do chores. You understand?
Yeah, guess.
Yeah, you get it.
Done a lot of chores.
Yeah, you get it.
Weed sport, that sounds like a drug. I'm not too keen on them drugs.
I think it's like cycling, but you can smoke dope or something. That's all right.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I think it's a badminton court where people just go and smoke. I could be wrong.
That sounds. It sounds right. I know that iRacing's been kind of expanding the content, and people have been asking for more and more, unusual tracks. So I think you might be right there.
And I think that badminton angle, it caters to the international crowd really well.
I think they need more. They maybe get that old Darlington, old Bristol like we talked about.
I don't. You know what? I'm just gonna let that go, Manny. You can have that comment. just leave it. I was gonna start searching how like international play badminton. I was like, fuck it, screw it.
There could be a badminton World Cup. I'm not aware of it, but it might exist.
Hey, Maynard, you ever play badminton?
I don't even know what that is.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to Weed Sport because I've been 410 boy this week.
We gonna talk about Daytona or what? Can I get back to my Darlington race if we ain't gonna talk about Daytona?
You tell us Daytona, and then you can get back to Washington Cup, have another Busch Light or whatever.
All right.
What is that? What sponsors Kurt Busch right now?
Sounds good. I don't even know who. What? Who?
Who was the Busch Light car? Harvick?
Yes, a Ford or something.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah.
All right, look, listen. All right, 24 car gone victory lane last week, Daytona. It's some good, some bad. I done love to see Daytona night, 4th of July weekend is brilliant, wonderful event. Hendrick going back to victory lane in how many years? It's crazy. I'll tell you what though, They say this kid that won that race, he done learn how to drive on iRacing. I don't know what kind of deal you got to do, win a couple iRaces and getting a cup ride, but hook me up with that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Maynard, first you'd have to win an iRacing race.
I have won a race. I have,
Was it
I have
a league
won
race?
at Daytona.
Was it a league race though?
It don't matter.
Oh, it matters.
I won plenty of AI racing as well. I've done doing the AI since it came out.
I'm surprised you're using the beta UI to get the AI racing. Actually,
Well, I gotta call up my son and be like, "Hey, get me in one of them AI races." Cause I go on the website mostly.
That's very progressive of you, Maynard.
I say, get me in that Daytona, and he says I'll put you on AI because they're not at Daytona this week. And I said, all right, that's fine.
Don't talk about progressive banking, progressive politics.
Yeah, we can't. We can't be talking about none of that. All right, don't make me mad.
He's gonna get mad. Yeah, but so he made the playoffs with that win, right? He wasn't gonna get in without. Is that right?
I don't know nothing about that, but yeah, that's what they've been saying. I guess
you're not really up on the point system, but
let me explain to you something. All right, every Monday morning, or after the cup race, first thing I go tally the results. All right, so I go into my spreadsheets and I give them points. You get a point for lap led, you get a point for something else. I can't remember. I got to look at my points chart. But I go and give them points how it would done been, right, in like 2002, 2003, 1995, whatever. And then I keep that spreadsheet going through a whole season. At the end of the season, I done crown my champion.
That's
you crown your champion.
Well, no, I crown the champion. NASCAR crowns their own champion the wrong way.
People's champion is what you're crowning.
This is the true champion. This is how it's always been. It's how it always should be.
You might need a website. I think you could get some followers on Twitter or something.
I don't know what that is, but I don't want to be followed. It sounds kind of creepy.
Hey, in the chat, we had a question for you. What do you think about progressive insurance?
Boy, I'm not too big on the insurance either. To be honest,
you don't have insurance.
I ain't gonna tell you no way or the other.
All right.
I'm just saying they're just taking your money. So you put progressive top of taking your money.
It's hard to argue.
You're just gonna make me mad again. I tell you what.
It's like when you get doored and iRacing gives you a 4X and not the other guy. That's what it's like, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. You call it the net code or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just run away.
I haven't seen a lot of that in league races, though.
Almost none.
Well, do you race a lot of leagues or what?
I dabble.
Not me. Another one in the chat. Curious on your thought on stages. I know we touched on it earlier.
It's just fake. I think what's his name done said a couple years ago, Edwards. He said, why would we have 3 races? Why don't we just have 3 races? You know what I'm saying? Like why stop the race to start another race? Let's just do 3 races.
Like Fiat Supercars.
That seems logical.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. They just want to make more races, more yellows, more commercials. That's it. They're just selling commercials. They got to bunch up them fields. They got to get that lucky dog and get them wave around. Most cars on lead lap one time ever in history in motorsports.
Get that funky
We don't need that manufactured garbage.
I get it. You know, Maynard, I think they should put you in charge of NASCAR. We might see a resurgence.
Well, I think so too. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Go back to my NASCAR Thunder 2000 and whatever.
We're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to start that hashtag Tom Maynard for NASCAR Prez for sure.
Mm-hmm. It'd be like hashtag fuck. Is it Phelps? Is that the guy?
I don't care. What's his name?
Is that his name?
France something.
Bill France.
I thought Bill France.
That's something you could probably get down with that hashtag. Fuck France.
Whoa.
Go Maynard.
Language.
That's what you always say, right?
I on the radio.
No one can get Maynard to say that on.
I think you've traumatized Maynard enough.
FCC gonna give us a fine. You know what I'm saying? You can't use that kind of language.
Just you.
That's what happened. That's what happened to Junior. Got that championship ripped from him. Well, that's what they claim anyway.
Same thing. All right, Maynard.
Yeah, I gotta get this race. If you don't mind.
Fine. No, go ahead. It was excellent.
Always
Yes,
a pleasure, Maynard.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure. I'll see y'all later.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, enjoy that race.
Sir, I'm going.
All right. Manny, do you want to talk F1? Do you want to talk Corvette?
F1.
Or do you want to talk a little intentional wrecking?
I think we got to start with F1. I mean, the race today was incredible.
It's very good.
Obviously, the situation with Ferrari, I mean, it really just goes from bad to worse week after week. And every time we think they've hit rock bottom, they find a new bottom to hit.
Well,
today in their home Grand Prix, we had Vettel straight through the polystyrene boards,
which was
and
cool.
Then we had Leclerc choose to end it all in Parabolica rather than drive that car for one more lap.
In the chat, Hamilton is stupid, confirmed.
Maybe not stupid. I think that
I assume it was the team call.
They gambled on not getting called out on it, and Giovinazzi made the same gamble.
I mean, I assume it just had to be an error, right?
Yeah, I feel like one makes you stupid, two makes you negligent.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they tried to pull a fast one, and the FIA wasn't having it. Luckily, I think it spiced up the race quite a bit from the first 20 laps of processional Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen that we've seen for a lot of the season.
What?
And turned it into, honestly, the most interesting race in maybe the last 12 years.
Well, I will say that the red flag kind of made almost a stage break. It felt a little artificial, but it was...
If Maynard's still listening, shield your ears.
No, he's gone. Thank God.
Okay.
I made it feel a little artificial, but I do think that the entertainment value kind of made up for it. You know what I mean? Because we know that
and if you think about it, I mean, the red flag was for repairing the barrier, so it's not like actually like super artificial. Yes, and comment in the chat. I love the standing start post red flag.
Yeah,
I agree. I thought it was fabulous. Rather than
have they always done that?
To be honest with you, it's been so long since I've seen a red flag in F1. I couldn't answer that honestly.
Yeah, I was really surprised. It was cool. It was totally cool. But I do kind of wonder, and I understand why they didn't do it, but I kind of felt like they should have just moved Hamilton and Giovinazzi to the back.
That's what they basically did with the penalty.
But we still had the standing start with Hamilton in front. I don't know. It was fine.
But I mean, he still had to serve it anyway.
He did.
So,
he did. It wasn't the end result.
That in itself, I mean, really spoke to Mercedes' dominance. They banned so this weekend they banned them from using quali modes for the engine, and then they go to reset the track record, the all-time track record, with an average speed of, I think it was 164 miles an hour.
Wow.
On a race engine mode, so no more party mode.
Wow.
And then they go into the race very obviously faster than every single car around them. And for that car to drive back from, I think when Hamilton left the pits post-penalty, he was about 30 seconds behind last place to drive all the way back to 7th. I mean, short of replacing the Mercedes tires with sleds or more tire failures like we saw in Silverstone a few weeks. I think no one's touching Mercedes. I think we'll still get interesting midfield, which we've been fortunate to have for the last couple of years. And I mean, the top three from this race, what a race! Gasly with his maiden win, completing the redemption journey from last year, getting demoted from Red Bull, going all the way back to Toro Rosso, which then became AlphaTauri, and consistently outperforming Albon in the inferior car week after week after week, and then finally culminating in a win today, becoming the first winner for AlphaTauri's since Sebastian did it at Monza in 2008. I mean, just incredible. And Carlos Sainz as well in second place. I mean, one more lap and he probably would have had Gasly, but that's racing. And Lance Stroll, who, Tom, you may know, I say that everyone sleeps on. He's not the best driver in F1 by any means, but I think he's a little better than a lot of people give him credit for being, bringing it home in P3. I mean, just a fabulous race.
It was very entertaining. At if nothing else can be said, I think F1 probably gave themselves a lot of fans. I noticed on Twitter, like the people that normally aren't tweeting about F1, where there's a lot of wows and OMGs and other things the kids say.
And I think that the podium celebration from today is, I mean, that's got to go down in my all-time favorites. Just the three of them, Gasly, Sainz, and Stroll, they could not have been happier to be there. And I think just that sheer, the joy on that podium, and then Gasly just sitting there, just taking it all in. What an incredible last 12 months Gasly's had. Post demotion, losing one of his best friends, Antoine Hubert, in the Spa crash in F2 last year, and then to go all the way through his trials and tribulations and win today. Just an amazing story, and hopefully a sign of better things to come for him going forward. I'm sure that Helmut, Marco, and Christian are looking at Gasly a little differently than they were this time last year. So
it was excellent. You might want to check that beautiful background. Be up by your head.
Ooh, yes, with a P4.
That's
I
right.
think that was actually no, that'd be his second best result because he was it him or Sainz that was promoted to the podium in Brazil last year?
Oh, you're asking the hard questions, man. So,
gotta brush up on those, Chief. Those are rookie numbers.
we need more support in the chat.
But yeah, so F1 overall 9.5 out of 10 would watch again.
Oh, absolutely. Man, these backgrounds are just
That's what I was thinking, Jeff.
Hugely difficult to move around. There we go. I want the Corvette back. Wow. All right.
This is art.
This is something.
Oh, and CompuWare. Man, I haven't thought about CompuWare in years.
Oh, well, I'm exhausted after getting those backgrounds changed. Anyway.
What's next?
I think we're going to go to the Corvette. Yeah, so new to iRacing, the best Corvette ever made. They just announced it, kept it under secret. We're finally getting the C5R, Manny.
I'll be honest. If they brought back the C5R, I would weep. Day one buy for me.
Well, they are. I just told you. In the chat, Signs from last year is apparently the answer.
Yes.
Says Mr.
And then
Lewis
Lando
Racing.
This year. Thank you, Jeff.
The C5R, Manny. That's the car we're getting.
I mean, it's the C5 plus 3R, but yes.
No, I'm pretty sure I know what I said. I made it the background for a
What
reason. I don't
what are
understand.
we racing it in? Is it like a Formula Sprint but with
Uh,
C5Rs?
they're gonna. Last I
Are they
heard,
bringing it back to IMSA?
it's the C5R in its own sprint format, as well as the start of a early thousands IMSA throwback series.
You see, I feel like they need to finish flushing out Fanatec GT Challenge first before we do that.
No, that's like 5 years too modern.
I don't know, Chief. Those are pretty good days.
Yeah, they were pretty good days. Those are some of the first memories I have of sports car racing in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good. You want to tell everyone the real deal?
Yeah, so for those of you not aware, if you've been playing iRacing but somehow hiding under a rock during that period, we have the glorious Corvette C8R
You
shockingly
almost said six. You
announced.
almost said six.
Oh man, I really want that 6, man. What can I say?
I mean,
I want
it
the 5,
exists
I want the
already.
6, and I want the Greenwood. But yeah, so in a shock announcement, the C8R is coming to iRacing on Wednesday. Wednesday, I think
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And I mean, to say that iRacing Twitter was ablaze would be, I think, an understatement.
It was one of the more shock announcements. I think that I'm actually very surprised they were able to keep it under wraps. Because I mean, they announced it less than a week before the build.
I suspect that maybe the pandemic might have helped them keep it under wraps a little bit. Though I also feel that maybe the pandemic contributed a little bit to maybe iRacing's ability to convince Pratt and Miller to allow them to take it with the viewership numbers that the IMSA Virtual Series was pulling in lieu of real racing for the first few months.
So why is it that everyone was so like, oh my God, Pratt and Miller finally let him do it? Because we have the C6R, and Pratt and Miller, as far as I know, made that car. Right? I don't
Yeah,
understand.
so my understanding of the backstory of this is that there was an initial agreement with the C6R to bring it in. However, at the time of implementation, Pratt and Miller was unhappy with the amount of I guess technical detail that they had to provide, and they tried to pull back on their authorization of the car. Which iRacing contested and was able to put it in. But ever since that point, Pratt and Miller just never wanted to work with iRacing again, at least as I understand the story. So I suspect that Pratt and Miller may have been strong-armed a little bit by General Motors and Chevy. But yes, as Jeff mentioned in chat, part of it as well was since iRacing uses a custom BOP, balance of performance, rather than deferring to whatever the spec series might have used at that time to maintain any competition within class to be viable, rather than you having to use one car or another. They were unhappy with the fact that the Chevy wasn't going to get a default BOP advantage over the Aston in the GT1 class. And really, Brian Miller held on to that for about a decade until finally they were, I guess, strong-armed into allowing iRacing to do the scan for the C8R.
That's stupid. I mean,
It
I
is.
do imagine that Chevy said in NASCAR we had this thing, we had the Invitational Series in NASCAR, do this IMSA thing. We're getting the car in iRacing, and
Yeah.
and really though, it doesn't take many years for things to be very different, even at possible leadership level. I'm not saying I know anything about the inner workings of Pratt and Miller, but it's very possible that
Yeah, I
you
would
know,
fully believe that. I mean, I'm guessing that some leadership has changed, and maybe company vision and outlook on sim racing has definitely changed over the past year, the past decade, but particularly the past, I'd say 2 to 3 years, with the entry of Coca-Cola as a title sponsor for the NASCAR series and a multi-year agreement, plus Porsche and BMW both investing significantly in to top level sim racing competition. So I'm sure that Chevy's looking at this with one eye and going, look, that's our future market that these people are pushing at. How can we have, the Halo American sports car and not be where our future buyers are? So
yeah.
even if they don't own the New Balances yet, I'm sure there's quite a few people happy on iRacing to be seeing this car, myself included. I think it's going to be great from a competitive standpoint to have an up-to-date GT endurance car, and I'm really looking forward to driving it.
Should be good. I can only get so excited about having more GT3 or GT cars, but I mean, more certainly isn't worse. I hope the BOP is good, and I hope it's a fun car. And I'm sure, honestly, I probably will be buying it. So
Then again, I mean, you're a bit of
yes,
you're very particular about the things you drive, which I
no,
understand.
I don't think so. I don't know what you mean.
Uh,
I drove a 410 a bunch today.
I mean, but you've been grinding that 410, buddy.
In the chat, thoughts on getting rid of the DP and adding LMP2 and C8R to IMSA. I
I
mean,
think
the
it's a
DP's
no-brainer,
old, yeah. I
honestly.
mean, you got to do it. Get it gone.
And I guess one thing we don't know yet for sure, we suspect that it's just LMP2, but we don't know for sure, is
What do you mean?
whether the Delara LMP2, which is coming to iRacing, is also the basis for the Cadillac DPI. So what we don't know yet for sure is whether it will run under the DPI banner with Cadillac branding for the IMSA series, or whether it's going to be straight LMP2. I suspect it'll be straight LMP2. I think the Corvette is maybe enough surprise for now, but it would be very interesting if we come to find out on Wednesday that, whoops, forgot to mention, this is going live with the DPI package.
That's true. It's the same chassis, isn't it?
Yes. The only difference is between running, I believe it's the Gibson V8 in the spec package, and running the proprietary Cadillac V8.
Huh. Well, that's
But
interesting.
otherwise, I believe the aero package is the same.
Well, I don't know if the aero package is, but the chassis is.
Yeah. But yeah. As for getting rid of the DP, I will, I think, always have fond memories of it, being the car that I won the Daytona 24 in this year. So I think I'll always have fond memories of it, and it was a bit of a meme otherwise, but very fun for the IMSA special events, Petit Le Mans, Watkins Glen 6 Hour, which we didn't see run this year, and the Daytona 24. So while I think a lot of people are happy to see it go, particularly from a modernity standpoint, I'll always have a soft spot for it.
In the chat, DP never broken. I wrote ban. I'm gonna get rid of this fella out of the chat.
I mean, it was a little broken. So for those of you who have never raced the DP before, I don't know if it's still this way in the current
It
build.
basically is what you should say. Don't race the DP.
For those who raced it in season 1 this year for Daytona, the DP had a very interesting feature, which was that it's, I believe, the only car on iRacing that does fuel and tires simultaneously. So
That's not true.
What else does it?
GT4.
Does it really?
Yeah. At least
Well,
it did
there
for
you
the
go.
endurance stuff.
All right. So one of the only cars on iRacing that does fuel and tires simultaneously.
Well, and NASCAR, but I understand what you meant.
Yes. So the tire change actually takes less time than fuel, and it also
So,
takes less time than a driver swap.
so
So
why
the
did
trick to a competitive setup in the DP was to run a quali setup for 45 minutes, which is about as long as fuel lasts, burn through 40-50% of the tires and just single stint because you never need double.
well that's GT4 is like that too. So wait, in real life, are they fueling and doing tires at the same time? I don't think so. Are they?
Not in DPI, no, but I believe in the
Oh
C7
my
DP
god.
days they were.
I don't even know what to Google to find that out, but I'm trying to
I guess we
think.
just have to go back to like 2015
Just have to
and
watch a race.
watch a
Yeah.
exactly.
Someone
We'll circle back on that
watch
one
a
next.
race right now, and then you have about 15 minutes, and then you tell us in the chat. Jeff, go.
Yeah, that honestly sounds way better than me having to. So that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that really it's going to be good to get the DP, for, even regardless if nothing takes its place, like to get it out of the top class, because it's old. It's not a bad car. It's just it looks like the cars don't look like that anymore at the top step IMSA.
Speaking of moving the LMP2 and C8R to IMSA, this means that as of this coming week, 2 classes of IMSA, if I'm not mistaken, will be correct. So we're going to have the Porsche, albeit not on the new exhaust, which is still an IMSA, albeit MIA for the rest of the season due to COVID-related withdrawal. Then we have BMW, Team RLM, still running it. Then we have the Corvette, still balling. And Ferrari, which occasionally Risi does run, at least for the Endurance Cup.
Yep.
So we'll have an up-to-date GTE class. And then with the LMP2, I believe everyone uses the Orica right now, which I think is kind of the world beater around the world. But I think that the Dallara is the second most competitive chassis, with the Ligier being the third most competitive chassis for LMP2.
Do you want me to check, or do you if you want us to stand
I'm
by
pretty
it?
confident on this.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Run it.
pretty confident on this.
You heard it here. Everyone should buy Ligier, is that what you said? Orica. Orica is the car to buy. I know tons
Yeah,
of top
good
flight
luck.
LMP2
Good luck finding it on
teams.
iRacing.
No,
You
no,
might
no,
be
no,
hitting
no.
refresh
No,
for a
you're
while.
telling the IRL teams to buy this car.
Oh,
I know,
yeah.
because I know they
Yeah.
all listen to the show.
If Starworks is watching,
Yeah.
buy an Orica.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I know all of Starworks listens to the show, so.
Very good. Very good.
Let's talk about intentional wrecking. Quick from the chat. What if iRacing added the LMP3 and made a prototype challenge? Well, prototype 3 you could do a like a European Le Mans as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That you can make 2 series out of that. You don't even need to make a prototype challenge anymore. If the rumors about 2021 IMSA are to be believed, it looks like the LMP3 is getting added to the main IMSA series. So we will have 3 prototype classes, and then the dead carcass of GTLM and the extremely healthy GT Daytona field.
Well, GT3 is the way to go. Even though I can't understand. I understand that it's like a great class, but it's not that cheap. You know, that's what really blows me away. It just must be popular.
Which one?
GT3. It's not particularly inexpensive.
It is a fraction of the cost of an GTLM team. The reason that GTLM is dying is because no one can afford to run it.
Yeah,
unless you're a manufacturer team.
And the level of competition.
Compared to the cost of that, it's way cheaper.
But GT3 is not a particularly cheap class
I'm not aware of many cheap classes to race
in general.
period. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
think
true.
even the GT4s in IMSA these days are between $40,000 and $65,000 a weekend to run. So when you look at it that way, I mean, I don't think that anyone looking to run GT3 is pinching pennies.
No, I don't think that's really a question. But I think that you'd be running a different car if you were, I guess. So it's interesting. It is definitely a
Yeah,
gentleman's class,
and
though.
I think it's a mixture of gentleman drivers and professional drivers at this point. It might have started out
But
more.
but I think the pro programs are either small, like there's not many of them, and they're well funded to do a certain thing when big races, or they have pro drivers in a pro car to essentially sell their pro-am drives as a team, market
Absolutely,
themselves.
because they make a ton of money for it.
It's interesting.
And unfortunately, with the state of racing as it is, I don't foresee the gentleman driver situation lessening. If anything, I see it growing in the next couple of years as the cost of racing continue to increase, manufacturer and sponsor support continues to stay flat or decrease. We're definitely going to see a lot more deep pocket Sunday specials. Just trying to get the racing credits in, and ultimately that's I think what's going to save the series long term.
Okay, let's get intentional wrecking. I said we're going to talk about it. We dilly-dallied. Let's get right into it. You know who I'm talking about?
Straight in.
Last week at Spa in the Porsche, let me get this right. The iRacing Porsche Esports Super Cup. I think that's right. Sponsored
That's
or
impressive.
presented by Tag Heuer. That sounds right.
I never remember that. Well done.
Last week at Spa, we had Max Benecke make a questionable move on Josh Rogers and come back across the chicane and hit. He collected Josh, and Josh hit the barrier pretty good.
I think questionable is a pretty generous analysis of the incident.
I agree.
Do you have a clip up of it?
I have a different clip up in a moment. Would you like a clip of the first? I could probably find it.
If you happen to find it, it might be good to add context to what made the incident that we're going to discuss in particular so questionable, to be polite.
I do have one. Let's see here. Let's see what we can do. Aha. Okay. It is up on screen. This is the incident from Spa. Okay. So this is Max here. And that's Josh. And we're about to go through Eau Rouge. Anyway, any audio only. Max on the left side. Doesn't get the move done through Eau Rouge. Josh holds him off. So now he's what? 2 car lengths back and falling. At least 2 car lengths here, yes, Manny?
That was a big boy extension. Just, to add on the exit of Radion.
Okay. So we're headed in the first corner of the chicane, the right-left.
So it looks like the interval hasn't updated, but what would you say that is, Tom? About 0.3 of a second back?
Yeah. Yeah, around that. We're 3 car lengths.
Yeah.
It's not nothing.
So we're approaching the gray area of where a passing move or a dive bomb.
Oh, we are deep in the dive bomb category. Let's continue. He's gonna do it. Oh, he's really doing it. He's doing it.
He's really doing it.
He's wrecking.
And
They're wrecking.
And I mean that's just at that level, I mean, there's really no excuse for that move.
It is. It's honestly. It's
For anyone
sad.
familiar with the car, like everyone who's ever driven that car on iRacing knows that there is no way you're making that corner, braking that late.
I mean, he knew it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have that. Okay. We have that action. It's
And
bad.
for additional context, this is also, as I believe I've seen him refer to it on social media, Mr. 11,000, the first person on iRacing history to hit 11,000 iRating. So this is not Joe Schmo we've picked up from off the street and dumped into a world championship event.
No. He is one of the top fellas on the service. Let's go to Jamie Fluke's stream. The man, the myth, the legend. Breaking
The
down.
OG, he a real one.
Breaking down what happened this week. Let's bring it up. Manny, you'll have to refer to the stream.
Roger.
Here, and audio's on for you even.
Oh. Right, so he lets off the oh, that's good. Right. Dabbed the brake, but yeah, he's not holding the brakes anywhere near as hard as he should. And then speeds up. Yeah, that's intentional. Come on.
He just releases the brake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he knows what he's done there. He knows.
Yep.
And I mean, the revs tell the story there.
Let's listen to what, I don't know if you heard it, but what does Jamie Fluke say?
What a sad human being.
Yeah. It's
He knows what he's done there. He knows.
It's unfortunate, honestly.
I feel as though 2 consecutive weeks of this with this more or less removing, I would say, Rogers from the equation for the World Championship. 2 consecutive weeks of this behavior, same cars, same driver, it could be very convincingly argued was at fault in both incidents. At this level of racing, particularly the second incident, where we actively see via the telemetry that we saw on Jamie Fluke's stream that he has released the brake, and in fact, the revs shoot up just before making contact.
Mm-hmm.
So he is moving perpendicular to the track.
Yep.
I mean, that kind of behavior is just unacceptable at any level, but much less at a world championship event. I think that maybe, in third or fourth split IMSA, you can argue that, it's a matter of experience, people trying to work through maybe some of the intricacies of the car. At this level, with the people in question, there's no claiming that this was an accident or that he was unaware of what he was doing. I think it's very clear he knew exactly what he was doing and exactly the ramifications it would have on Josh's title challenge. And honestly, I think it's shameful.
It's too bad that I don't know. Even if you give him the benefit of the doubt and say they were just poor decisions, because it was a bad decision to put himself there this week at Nord's, on the grass there, after as he was fighting with Rogers. Like, it's a bad decision. But even you get the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, it's only a bad decision. So it's not intentional. Say we decide it wasn't intentional, or we can't prove it was intentional. You are 11,000 iRating. If it's not intentional, then you are just you have passed the point of even caring. You know what I mean?
And one thing I should note for anyone who doesn't race regularly and doesn't understand, the I guess significance of 11,000 iRating, it doesn't have so much to do with winning races as much as I would argue a single-minded mentality to finish the race no matter the cost, and to finish in the top half of the field no matter the cost. So when you look at the second clip in particular with that in mind, this Max having grinded all of these years with finishing the race no matter the cost, and you see the choice that is made, he had no intention of finishing that race.
Yeah, which is also bizarre to me because the man is not in really a championship winning position, but he's not. You know,
I think he's still
he's
top
still like seventh or
6,
something. Yeah, I
6 or
mean,
7, yeah.
and we're not talking small amounts of money per position there. You know what I mean?
No.
No.
The championship is what, $300,000 for prize field,
Yeah,
something like that.
it's quite high. Yeah, 200. I mean, so I don't know what he's. Why not just take the points? Why do these things? Why hit Rogers? I think he's just playing with fire. I don't really understand the man, I guess. I don't understand. But
And we won't get into some of the drama earlier in the summer with his setup service, Pure
oh
Driver.
dear.
But this has not been Max Benecke's summer by any means.
No.
Between his Porsche Cup results and questionable interpretations of some of the decisions that have been made by his business over the past few months. It's been definitely, I think, a summer to forget, but I think a summer at the same time that says maybe more than he would like to about what he's putting into the service and where he's devoting his attention right now.
Yeah, I think the only real high point I can remember was when Germany won VCO Cup of Nations, and he was one of the members of the Team Germany. But even then, I mean, I was in the VCO Discord because I represented the U.S. and
Damn right you did. You did well. I should note for the podcast that if it weren't for Tom, the U.S. never would have advanced past day one.
Assuming we wouldn't have someone better than me, I suppose, which isn't necessarily that hard to find. But yes, I had a reasonable IndyCar race, as did Dallas Pataska, who ran,
Yes.
and in the sudden death round. But even then, we had Benecke. I think it was Jeremy Boteloop who he was like, "Hey man, you did, you made this move, and such and such," and Benecke was like, he's like, oh, LOL, you're so pathetic. And I just thought it was weird. It was a strange thing. I didn't understand. I know that it's kind of
just a very strange reaction.
I understand it's kind of a private server. It's not like it's mostly competitors, but it's still like the people that are there. Like, I mean, you're kind of a public figure in the community. And you have a business.
Even beyond that, when you think of some of the people that were involved in the VCO Cup of Nations, I mean, some of these guys have been racing together with Max for quite a while. So for him to, I guess, come out of pocket and react like that is unbecoming.
Yeah.
Might be the friendliest term I can think of for it, but I would say that for moderate to serious observer of the sim racing community, particularly in iRacing as a whole, it has definitely soured my outlook on how I feel about his exploits on the service.
Yeah, and fairly or unfairly, I don't know him well, and or really at all, and and one hopes that this sort of the optics that we've been getting doesn't really accurately
reflects him.
reflects.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because I mean, I hope PDS does well. I hope he's the highest iRating road or whatever. I hope he's a great part of the community. But at the moment, it hasn't been. I don't harbor very good feelings. Yeah, unfairly or unfairly at the moment. It's sort of these things have been building up. And I'm to me who's I'm host a show. Mediocre driver, but maybe that's the kind of the most important people that care about what he looks like, because he does have a business, and to me it doesn't look good.
Ultimately we're at that level where when you're looking towards aspiring to getting beyond where we might be in terms of iRating or achievements, we're looking towards the Max Beneckes of the world, the Sebastian Jobs, the Jamie Flukes, and the Josh Rogers. But
there's only one Jamie Fluke. Don't use plural.
God bless. But I think it's sad, honestly, and I like you said, I wish nothing but the best for him personally, and I wish business to be successful. I think that with PDS coming on the scene in the last year and sponsoring a series on iRacing, I definitely feel as though it's caused VRS, I think, to take setups maybe a little more seriously again, in terms of even anecdotal. I myself switched to PDS for a while for setups, and then when I started feeling like they weren't maybe taking it seriously or not devoting the time that the expenditure was suggesting they would spend on it, given the limited series they support, I moved back to VRS, and I immediately found that it felt like, obviously there have been a lot of variables, changes in the tire model, changes in vehicle dynamics and BOP, but I absolutely felt as though VRS had really stepped their game up on the setups front. And the tutorial videos, I thought, went from kind of mailing it in maybe on a couple of them to some of them. I'd like to make a special note to Julian Dunn, who does the Indy Pro, and I think maybe one or two other series. But the tutorial videos they're putting up now to complement their setups are absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Julian does USF 2000 as well, and they're really excellent. Although Julian and I messaged you about it, your oval line could use a little work. But
his gateway one was decent.
His Indy road for the USF 1000, that data pack and lap is nuts. I have no idea how that lap. I
had the pleasure to race against him at Suzuka in the Indy Pro a few weeks back with our beloved Pancake, who hosted last week. And I mean, the guy's driving is just unbelievable. Well, extremely talented guy, and very nice as well.
Yeah, he did seem nice when I messaged him, and I was kind of being like, derp, this is 4K man telling you how to drive. But at the same time, he was nice, and he's like, oh yeah, check the line. And that was cool. But that, because normally I can get within, I don't know, half a second, a few tenths, at least in a one lap pace. But that Indy road lap, I'll get within a second of it, and I'm like ecstatic. I don't know what was going on that day with him, but it's brutal.
It's incredible.
Very, very, very good. Really good.
But
that's one of the best coaches.
Final verdict on intentional wrecking. He knows better. He's expected to do better. He should do better. I would be mildly disappointed if this doesn't end up in a point stalking situation or some other form of administrative action.
I think they suspend him
to reflect that.
I think they suspend him. I think that there's and I think I think maybe 5 years ago, and I wasn't involved with the community, but the vibe that I get is that a world championship might have been more for the competitors than the people watching. But but now we have Porsche involved, and we have a big prize pool, and I understand that most of the people watching this are iRacers. But I think that And I understand you never want.
However, with it being broadcast on the Porsche channel, I would argue that it's probably the widest audience they've had outside of the broadcast races on NBC for the Coke Series.
Yeah, totally. And I think that I do understand that it's possible there might be more leeway now because you don't want to discourage drivers from attacking. You know, I understand that. But
and no one's asking for that to happen.
No, I agree. I think this is something. This is definitely detracting from the show when you have the defending champion taken out 2 weeks in a row.
By the same card. That's really, I think, what leaves maybe a worse taste.
And they weren't like, oh wow, they battled for 3 corners and touched. It was like a very poor decision, like we said at best, and just wrecking at worst. It's a bummer. So final verdict. Okay, let's do this, man. This is fun. If you were the steward, and now that we're saying you're the steward, you don't have to answer to anyone. It's just you. What's a fair judgment?
Do you know how many points a race win is worth in the Super Cup?
I can tell you pretty quickly, but I don't know.
I think it's 200. I could be wrong.
Ooh, I think that's too high. I think you're wrong. Okay, well let's you keep going, and I'll tell you.
I would dock the equivalent of a race win in points.
Okay.
And a 7 to 14 day suspension from the service.
From the service.
That's the only way you're going to send a message to not just the competitors, but also the community as a whole that no one is above their rules. Because I would argue that, particularly with the second incident, I would be very surprised if that were to happen in just one of the normal hourly or bi-hourly races, and that protest not be accepted and result in some form of action, disciplinary action.
I would agree. Yeah. I think the points, I actually think that a race ban might be not unfair. Honestly. Like a week ban, so when they go to Le Mans in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Well, we will see. I
think the only bad option here is for nothing to be said or done at all.
I agree. I know a little inside information that the first one went under the fault given and nothing more. So I don't know if there's
with
like
the context
points.
Of that, maybe we might see something. Obviously, it being a holiday weekend, we might not see it till Tuesday or Wednesday, but we'll wait and see.
Sure. All right, well, we're just about done here, Manny. I got one more thing for you. So over the late last week, and you may or may not be familiar with this fella. His name is Noah Sweet, also known as Lefty, but he paints race cars and drives race cars, but a lot of design work, and he's done stuff with iRacing, did the Firecracker. I think he's painted for some of the Coke teams. You know, a fairly high profile painter.
And I believe I've heard of him, and I mean I've seen some of his work. Like I think he did one of the Ally paints for Pride theme, and it was, I mean, his work is very high quality.
Let me bring that up on stream because that's kind of what we're talking about here. So
yeah,
here's the paint. So this is.
I mean, this is tremendous.
Yeah,
work.
And if you're audio only, it's a Jimmy Johnson livery with the 48, and it says Ally in the normal places. But on the rear quarter panels it says Pride Ally, and instead of the normal purple on Jimmy Johnson's schemes with the Ally, it's like a rainbow, if you can imagine that. But imagine it really good.
It looks almost
in your
like
head.
a cross between the Ally paint and do you remember the old Polaroid paints?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just a beautiful piece of work.
It's really good. So, I, and I won't speculate on anything, but basically the idea, the story is that he painted this livery, and he was bullied for it online. In what context, I'm not sure, but basically there's internet bullying, there was harassment, there it might have got to the point of death threats, and he posted some ominous, perhaps, tweets on Twitter last week. Basically, they were very. There was implication that they were like his last tweets, and it'd be better off if I wasn't around, in that kind of a feel, and basically the whole community kind of rallied up and all the way to NASCAR radio talking about this, and it's I have a hard time fathoming, first off, why the whole thing happened, but there's no place in any community for that kind of bullying. But I hope particularly in the racing community, I understand that there is a little maybe machismo or something in auto racing, but we are sim racing, and there's no place for it. And fire up the "We Love Lefty" hashtag, because that's been going around. And I mean, this paint is awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and not only is it, like, in my opinion, not a political statement, because it's not. It's just saying.
I would agree with you. I believe that equal rights, particularly from a basis of gender orientation discrimination, I mean, it's not a political matter. It's a human matter.
Yeah, and I think there's enough things to divide us.
Yes.
Than just than even the man who makes the livery. Like, really, was this what you needed to do with your time and energy? Harass some individual
really,
who's doing amazing paintwork.
I wish Noah all the best. Not very clear on the details, and it sounds like they're trying to keep it private, for understandable reasons, given the context of how the events may have transpired in the first place. But nothing but the best wishes for Lefty, and here's to a speedy recovery, and particularly with sim racing, much as you pointed out. I mean, sim racing is for everyone. Anyone can do this, with whether it be a $25 wheel that you pick up at a garage sale that's like 15 years old, or whether it be a multi-$1,000 setup. Like, this is for everyone, boy or girl, any age. If you can reach the pedals, you can race. And even without reaching the pedals, we've seen really cool efforts in the community for hand controls for some of the steering wheel setups, which allow people who may not otherwise be able to race vehicles to be able to compete at even the highest levels, which is, I mean, that's part of, I think, what makes sim racing special, is that sim racing is ultimately for everyone. And I mean, there's no place anywhere for this kind of behavior, but particularly when it comes to sim racing, what it is, what it's been, what it can be, I think that it's important to remember that ultimately this is for everyone, and the community is what we make of it. If we're toxic, then the community falters, and ultimately all we can do is come together and try and lift each other up.
Well, so when I did IRL wrenching, I did find, and at that point, of course, I was like a musician-y 20-year-old, 19, 20-year-old. And
This must have been quite some time ago. when we talked.
Okay, bud. Okay, bud. But I honestly though, like real racing was kind of like there was a little bit of toxic masculinity. It wasn't
Absolutely.
everywhere, and it wasn't
And
in your face.
I think it still exists, but to your point,
It does,
yeah,
but I think, but it was. I don't want. It was far from the determining factor why I stopped doing it.
yes,
Very far, but it didn't help, you know. And I guess I'd like to think that sim racing is not that. You know, I think like holy shit, people, this is we can be a different community. We can go wherever we want with it. You know, this is the racing for the people. This is the young people's motorsport, and like we don't need any sort of toxic behavior. We don't need any sort of, I don't know, making people feel like a snowflake or whatever.
absolutely.
And whatever. Like I don't even consider myself particularly a sensitive human being, but I think like there were times when I worked in racing that I was like, oh wow, I'm like a little, like these people kind of make me feel like a little baby boy, like a, you know, like a snowflake.
Yeah,
Maybe that word wasn't used, maybe it was, but you know, there's no. I think sim racing, that community controls its destiny, and like holy shit, people, let's let's not have to talk about things like this. I'd rather talk about this paint and say, wow, what a paint.
yeah,
Period. End.
absolutely.
It'd be better. So yeah, that's what I'll say on it. And I think you nailed it when you said sim racing's for anyone, whether you can touch, even literally whether you can touch the pedals or not. Then that far and farther, you know. So
Yeah, and I mean, and I guess kind of to wrap up my point about it being for anyone. I mean, for me, sim racing has been one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life in terms of getting to meet people who I wouldn't otherwise have known, like even us. I mean, you're okay, but overall, like I don't think we ever would have met without sim racing, except maybe at a spotted cow protest. But
well, you would have been drinking and I would have been protesting, but
absolutely, you would have been protesting me,
yeah,
100%.
yeah,
But I think this has been an avenue for me to meet some of the people who are now closest to me in my life, and people that I look forward to talking to on almost a daily basis. Obviously, you, Jeff, Pancake, Nick Foster, who I'm sure we'll drag on the show at some point.
hopefully
And I
not.
mean, oh god, him and Maynard, that would be a duo for the ages.
That would be quite an episode.
But yeah, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity to meet people you wouldn't have otherwise met, and I think that it's important to keep that in mind in the community. That like you said, our communities are what we make of it. So act accordingly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, totally. And I think that even small interactions can really affect the whole of the community, and just things that you say in the voice chat to whomever that got into you, or some, you know, if you got a big range of IR in a split, and um and there's a, you know, 1.3K guy that gets up in you, and how many times you heard someone saying, oh, you fucking idiot, like park it, like why are you racing? Well, because they want to fucking race a car. I mean, they're doing,
And
come on.
ultimately, they're not going to get better unless they try. Should they practice more? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you could say,
But they're
hey,
not going to get better unless they do it.
like please don't wreck me, you know, be careful. It's fine, I understand everyone gets heated, but hey, you fucking idiot, get off the track. Is that really what you want? Would you rather have iRacing have less of a
I
community?
mean,
I don't understand.
that's I would say that probably describes your spotter experience whenever you're restarting and I'm in your ear. But other than that, I mean, that's really the only acceptable context I would say for those messages.
Call me when you hit 4K, buddy.
Brutal. Wow, it's so weird. You gained a lot of that doing series with no cautions. Crazy, right?
I didn't know C Open had no cautions. It's weird.
It's because the racing's better. It's like league racing.
I think a lot of it came from Be Fixed, which was your suggestion.
Yeah,
Credit is where credit's
I'm
due.
so proud of you. Have you actually enjoyed your BFix experience?
Most of it. Yeah, it was good.
The racing's usually pretty good. I think it's the best of the fixed series, honestly. So.
Yeah, almost certainly. From the chat, Justin Caddy says, sorry, Katie, right?
I just call him Caddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Says, hell, we met in real life at one point or another at autocross, but sim racing crossed our paths. He also says, wait, there are series that have cautions. Clearly a road race.
I know as a road degenerate, that's hard to swallow, but yes, there are series that have cautions.
All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I know it's past your bedtime. It's, I mean, you're probably 35 minutes overdue for your Ovaltine. So.
It's damn, Ovaltine is good though.
It's delicious. I have some in my pantry.
I'm gonna be having a beer, but thank you for your consideration there. Get your calcium and vitamin
always looking
D or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's great. I think I might include that in the audio and YouTube titles. Is the sim race community is what we make it, and excellent Manny quotes here.
That's why you pay me the big bucks, right? I'll send you my invoice after this.
Yeah, just hey, if you don't see it coming in from Venmo, check PayPal. You don't see it coming in from PayPal, check Fiverr or whatever the hell. It's there. I promise. Just keep looking. Okay.
Sounds like I'm gonna be looking for a while. All right.
In the chat, hashtag old man problems for the Ovaltine. Don't know who you're talking about. Don't talk about Manny like that.
Attacked, but okay.
Let's get out of here.
All right. Always a pleasure, buddy.
Yep. See you next week, guys.
Later.